Hi everybody, I'm Nettie Kaye. Welcome back to my studio. Hey, today we're going to finish up this cat painting that we started about a month ago. Yeah, I know, you guys have been so patient. You know, I was planning on getting it done in the next 2 days, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now we have to move our classroom into our studio. Yeah, I had to move out of my classroom. And then I had to do my taxes. Who would rather be painting? Hello, me, yes. One good thing though, I got interviewed from McCall Life magazine. And they actually published an article on the life of yours truly, yes. And so if you'd like to read something kind of interesting, this young man did a wonderful job on just a little article about my life, and I really do appreciate it. So go to mccalllife.com and you can read that article. Isn't that nice? Yeah. So while I was moving, I know I'm just rambling on and on. We need to get back to painting. But each time that we meet now, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the paintings that we've had to move out of the showroom. And so this one, our Royal Red Tulip painting, is going to be now available on my Etsy site at nettieKstudio.etsy.com. So make sure that you go to that site, and then you can see all kinds of different paintings that are now going to be available for you to purchase. So I've really been enjoying having them in the studio and in my living room. I haven't really looked at them for a while, and boy, are they ever uplifting and therapeutic when you're feeling a little bit down. Yeah, they are. That's why we get art, or paint art, yes. So let's get on with our little painting of our cat. Are you ready? Let's go. So on my palette today, I have some titanium white. I have a little bit of that wonderful transparent orange, some raw sienna, a little yellow ochre, some burnt sienna, a very small amount of black, which is just pretty much for the pupils in the eye. And then I have some cadmium yellow medium, some cadmium yellow light, some cobalt teal, and a little bit of dioxazine purple. Okay, so that's just what I'm using today. And then I'm also going to be using a little bit of our medium, which is Neo Megalp. You can use all kinds of different mediums. It doesn't really matter. Remember, we're working in oil today. And so I'm going to dump some of that on my palette. I didn't want to put that on there ahead of time because that will just slide right down onto, you know, the floor. So anyway, I've got a couple of little brushes, and I've got some Q-tips. This is one of my tools, you guys, just a jar full of Q-tips, and I've been using quite a bit of those, especially when I'm doing my little miniature paintings. I just did another one. You know, this is what I do at 5:30 in the morning when I can't sleep. I just roll out of bed in my studio. I'm sleeping in my studio. That's fun. So I can roll out of bed and just start painting these fun little, cute little paintings on panel. It's kind of fun. Okay, so we did our background. I'm just going to recap. We've done our background in this kind of a muted, kind of a fuzzed out background. When things are pushed back into space, you guys, don't forget, you need to not just put every little pine needle on your pine tree. You want it to be kind of fuzzed out a little bit. And so it looks like it's back into space. And we've kind of softened up the edges around the cat so that we don't have a big problem there. Now what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to create a little bit of a middle tone, and I'm going to set this down. I want to show you this. This is going to be a little bit painful for my little armies, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to mix a middle tone. I'm going to prop this up on my knee a little bit, but I'm going to use a little bit of teal, and let's go into some teal and a little bit of this kind of a purple tone right here, and then I think I want to create maybe just a touch of this orange that kind of makes a green, doesn't it? I'm going to go back in and put in a little bit more of that purple. Let's make it a little more of a shadow color. Okay, so that's a shadow color. So I've got purple and a little bit of teal, and sometimes I'll use a little bit of a red, whatever. Lots of different colors that you can make this with. But there is a kind of a grayish color, and I'm going to use that for my white fur in the chest of the animal. And so it's because it's in shadow, okay? It's in shadow. And now I'm going to put my brush into my medium, and I'm going to use that. We're going to put this, and it looks really, really dark, all right? It looks very, very dark. But because it's in the shadow, it's going to make sense in a second. So I'm going to put that in with my brush, and this is a pretty good size brush. Let's see if I've got a size 12, Each brush, when you get into different companies, can be slightly different as far as the sizes. A size 12 in one might not be standard in another. And so I'm going to put this down here. I've got a little bit on the tail that we'll just kind of play around with here. And where else do I see it? Maybe right up in this eye part right there. And so that begins with that shadow. And then I'll wipe off my brush and I'm going to come back in. I think what I'd like to do is I'm going to take a little glaze of our transparent orange and we're going to put that transparent orange in right here. I still got a little bit of that gray on my brush, but that's good because this is a darkened area right here. Okay, this is a little darkened area of the a shadowy part of the animal as well. So I'm going to think about that. I've got a few little bits of chalk. You can see how I put that in with chalk and it doesn't affect the paint. So I don't worry about it. If I've done it in chalk, it's not a big deal. So I've got this coming on here with a little bit of that, of the medium along with my transparent color. Ooh, it's so beautiful. And so it goes really, really fast when we get to this point. And we'll be throwing this in. This is just that dark, beautiful orange. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the cat's face up here, just wherever I see that value, maybe a little bit under his little mouth right here. And then I'm also going to put some of that beautiful orange with a little bit of white inside the ear right here. And I realized that I'm missing some red, so I'm going to grab some red in a bit and we'll put a little bit of red into the ear and then of course into the nose as well. So I'm going to get some red and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have a little naphthol red that I'm going to add to our color. And so naphthol red with a little bit of white, and that's that beautiful, beautiful pink color that we need. There it is, right there. That is an important color. I'm going to take that around the edges of the ear, and then I'll go in and kind of base in that wonderful little pink nose. It needs to be a little darker, so we'll make it just a little bit darker here with that pink, and then I will be coming in with some of the details a little bit later, but I'm just going to patch that in right there. And then it has a little bit of pink underneath here too. And let's see, I'm going to go in a little bit with some burnt sienna. And we're going to make that burnt sienna with our little bit of naphthol red into this darker tonal value right here. And then I'll come up around the ear like this with just the edge of my brush. And I can get a little bit more detailed with a smaller brush, but I don't want to get into a small brush situation yet. So I'm going to paint with the large one in order to keep it more impressionistic. Okay, that's just what I'm saying. I'm going for a much more impressionistic look on this particular one. And so now I'm going to go in with a little bit of my yellow ochre. Let's test this out and see what color this is. Yellow ochre. It looks very much like our transparent orange, so I need to add some white to it. And now I'm going to add the white to it as it comes around the shoulder like this, because this is where the light is hitting the cat as it's coming out. And so it becomes, obviously, it becomes more and more light. And so I'm building it up. I'm not going to my lightest light yet. I'll try to figure out what my lightest light is very, very shortly so that I know where I'm headed. So this is just kind of coming in. I don't want to put too many strokes on with the same load of paint, okay? So I don't just keep painting until it just all depletes out. I want to make sure that I keep my brush, I keep fresh paint on my brush, and I'm not just painting with air. And so here's the back part of the cat right there, and as the tail comes around like this. This cat's name is Junior. He's so cute. He loves hanging around with the animals in the forest around here, and they seem to like him. I don't know what it is. There's just tons of pictures of Juniors interacting with fox and deer and all kinds of things. It's just really, really fun to see. Okay, now here we're going to come up a little bit higher with the light right about here. Yeah, there we go. And as the tail comes into the light like this. And so now, let's see, I want to get a tiny bit of that a reflected light in the front of this paw. And I'm going to move that together just a bit. His little tummy's sticking out a little bit like that. There we go. This one right here is a little bit darker, so I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt umber, and we'll put this little burnt umber onto our brush along with that other color, and we're just going to put that in like that. In fact, that's a little bit, still a little bit too light, so I'll darken it up just a little bit so it looks like it's going back into space. You see that? There we go. Now, I think what I want to do, and I did mention that I don't use the black except for the eye, but I want to darken that burnt umber just a little bit for down underneath the belly and the parts that are away from the light. So I'm adding a little bit of black to my burnt umber just to darken it up. And then I also will put just a little bit right in here. Okay, there. And then I want to split those paws with a darker value there. So there we go. I've got that. And I want to set those paws down as well. So there it is. And then as the tail comes into the body, it's also got a dark value. And also as it's going away from the light down here on the rock, we'll put a little bit of that there. And this, get that just a little bit more dark right there. It really starts coming together super fast, doesn't it? Really, really fast. A little bit more dark there. And then up in here, and then I want to show you what the lightest light is going to look like, just so that you can see. You have to have dark in order for the light to register. All right. Let's get this into a darker value down here too, because it goes away from the light. So I'm going to just patch that in with that. And then the little paw, I'm going to put in that same gray color that we put in here, okay? Right in here, because that's really a white paw. But the shadow color of that white is into the gray. And so now we'll get that tail patched in a little bit more with a little bit of that gray, and then we'll add some lights to it as we go. Okay. Little bit more. Let's see, what do I want to put up here? We're going to come up in here. We got to get some of this ready to go. This base color. And I'll get into the detail of this face here a little bit later, but and the paws and all the shadows around it. Okay, so let's figure out what is going to happen. I want that dark too. Okay, I want this dark all the way out to here. There we go. And then his eye kind of comes up like this. And I'll get a smaller brush very shortly. There we go, like that. Okay, that's starting to really look nice. Now, I want to find out what the highest point is right here. So I think what I want to do is take a little bit of the transparent orange with a lot of white and see if that's a good color. It's actually more the value, or the light and dark. You can see how light that is there. That is more important than the color itself, is the value, how light it is and how warm it is. And so the transparent orange is what is creating this sense of form with a lot of white, and so it creates a sense of light. And look at the contrast between this dark part right back here and this light. That's why it looks like it's in the sunlight, okay? If I just had a light background back here, well, it wouldn't register, would it? It would not even make any sense. You wouldn't feel like it was sunny. You could paint that as white as you wanted it, and it would not make any difference. You wouldn't be able to tell. So you have to have this cool background in the dark cools behind it, and you get that light orangish color right here, and it all of a sudden becomes this beautiful sunny part. And this is kind of where I want, well, I'd like to focus a little bit up here too, but I want to find where all that sunlight is at this stage. And we're going to just jump around to all these areas and create the form with that. I'm going to put the top of the ear on here. That one really, really glows. Make sure you have fresh paint on each stroke as much as possible. Now right here we've got this connective little area there, and we'll just put it on there like that, and as this comes around, now you can see how that shadow really starts really registering, don't you? You just can really see how the shadow becomes, just turns that animal around and makes it into a nice round shape by doing that. And here's the little light on the tail here. And it's really, what's really kind of fun is you can just paint minimally. You don't have to paint all the details in, and you'll have this wonderful painting without even having a lot of details. It's really, really neat. Okay, so now let's take a look at that, and let's see. When I'm painting the tail down here, I don't want to use that orange color on the white tail. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take some of my teal color and add some white to that. Actually, mostly white and a little bit of teal. Let's see what that does. Okay, so down here on the tail where the light is starting to strike is a teal, and I'm turning my brush sideways to kind of give it a sense of fur. And then we'll put that beautiful light teal with the white on there, and it'll create this little fur tail down here that will register as white. I'm not using straight white, you guys. Teal with white. And of course there's some other colors that are underneath there that are creating this look of this tail. And that's working out great. Okay, super. Now up on the nose, let's see, I may need to get a smaller brush. Maybe not. I'm going to use that same teal with white because the face is white, okay? I'm going to use the teal with white, and I'm going to find the top part of the nose and see if I can get that shape just about right. And then there's a little area that sticks out, a little bit of a cheek here that is kind of round. And we just begin to kind of create this little face. Gotta watch that. And this is part of why I use these Q-tips, everyone. When I have something that is mixing in with another color of paint that I don't want, I'll just take my Q-tip and thin that out, and then I can work around it just a little bit. There, like that. Okay, so that is the base of this critter. And so let's see what else. Where am I looking here? I've got this, and now I want to also go back into that initial gray color that we mixed up, which was of course the teal, the purple, with a little bit of the either red or orange. And then I'm going to make this part of the nose go into shadow. It's our white shadow color. And I want to connect this down just a little bit more down here. There we go. Okay, good. I think I want to put a little bit of that right there. Yes, and a little bit on these paws just to kind of cool them down just a little bit. Push them back into space. Now at this stage I should get a smaller brush. I can now go into the smaller brush zone, and I'm going to come in with a little bit of our burnt sienna. And now, because this is dry, I can stick my hand on it. That's the neat part when you leave your background for a while. And then I'm going to come up and put that eye in like that. And we've got him looking up. And then I'm going to get a little bit of the black so that I can see where his pupil is going to go. I don't want to see too much of it. It's not going to put a ton of detail in when you've got your cat just, you know, all based out in a nice loose form, and then all of a sudden you have a little bit of detail. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of keep it nice and loose if you can. And then I'm going to put his little nostril in right there. Just a little indication of the nostril, a little bit of the split between the nose there. And we'll come down and give, and remember the part that's right underneath the nose is really super short. Don't make it long or it's going to look like a monkey. And so we don't want that. We want to go back in and find where the mouth is like this, and that looks pretty good. And we'll go this little upside down Y that goes like that. That's pretty good. And I'm going to come in here with a shadow right above the eye there. And let's see, we'll get our mark underneath here correct. a little bit of a cat mark there. And I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the detail that needs to go in. Not too much detail because, again, I want this to remain really quite loose, really loose. Now, if I'm painting a portrait for somebody, I need to ask them, especially if you paint in a couple of different styles, everybody. A lot of times I'll ask my customers, do you want it nice and loose, or do you want it, you know, to look extremely realistic? And you know, a lot of people want their paintings super realistic, and you know, I'm doing fewer and fewer of those. I'm just wanting to paint a little bit more impressionistic. I think they look more painterly, but people do like them a little bit more on the realistic side. Sometimes people just like photorealism, and you know, you just have to give that to them if that's what they want. But I'm getting to where I really like not doing it quite so tight. Okay, now I'm going to come down here, and we're going to go like this, and put put a couple of little paw indications here, and then one down here. Just some indications of the paw. Like that. Okay. And let's see. All right. A couple little dark areas right around the edge of the ear. Let's put that right here. Like that. And then on top of that, I want to make this a little bit darker underneath. And then I can throw in just a few whiskers here and there, just for fun. So I'll go put in a couple of, and I'm just barely hitting the edge of my brush, and or just a tiny little bit. You just have to kind of move really fast with it, just with a small brush, and barely touch the canvas. Don't push your brush down, or you're going to have a big, wide, fat thing that you're going to have to deal with. So just take your brush and just very barely hit the canvas when you're doing a few little whiskers. And so then I'll put in several more, and we'll see if we can do it again. There we go. And then maybe one coming up here. This is for the eyebrow. And there, you know, you've got a couple little hairs there, and then a couple of hairs in the ears, and that sort of thing. Okay, well, I'm going to have to lean in here and change my angle of my canvas board, or not my canvas board, my panel. And again, you know, and then I'm going to do a few details, and then I'll be right back. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those panels that we're working on here in the studio, and we'll chat about that in a few moments. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, so I did something when the camera wasn't rolling, and it was kind of pretty important. So I'm going to tell you what I did. All right, so back here you see that I took a little bit of that value, that really light value paint right here, the lighter color, and I put just a tiny little smattering of it right up underneath here in the edging the dark part of the cat. And so it reflects, it's like a reflective light on the edge of the cat. And then what it makes it stand out, because this is nice and dark and cool back here. So the cat is just kind of glowing as it comes forward. I love that, don't you? Yeah, I do. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about these masonite panels that I have. I had one of my viewers ask me, well, where do I get those masonite panels? I talked to my husband, and we have this marvelous, big, huge woodworking shop downstairs. And guess what? He has consented to make them for you and make them available on our Etsy site at nettiekaystudio.etsy.com. So be watching for those in the next week or so, and we will have them in various different sizes, including the little tiny miniature ones. Remember those? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. These are the ones that when I'm in, you know, can't sleep in the middle of the night, I just roll out and make little tiny ones like this. And the reason I can paint them in such tight detail is because it's masonite, you guys. You can paint really tight detail on masonite that you can't on canvas. And so that's what we're going to be offering on that. I hate to be a big, huge commercial, but you know, this is how we're going to continue to eat in the middle of COVID-19. Isn't that fun? All right, so next time, we're going to be painting our fox. Yeah, so don't forget to stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to share with your friends. That'll be really fun. Okay, I will see you guys next time. So be well, be safe, and be passionate about your painting. Turn the news off. Yeah, get your paints out. Do something fun. All right. Love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye for now.